The Houston Rockets could be taking a serious risk in the upcoming 2025 NBA draft as they will possibly draft the backup to Alperen Sengun next season. And so in this video, we are going to talk about who that prospect is, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, and why this would be such a risk. But if you ask me, I love this young prospect. So many things to break down. It's all going to be right here. And we just want to say thank you so much for the support that this channel, Rockets Digest, has been getting over the past week. I believe we are now past 1,000 subscribers, so thank you very much. For those of you not subscribed, that is 90.7% of you. What are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button below. This is free content. We're going to be covering all the news, rumors, and updates regarding the H-Town team in this channel. So go ahead, hit that button below. Now let us get to business. We are talking about a new mock draft released by Gary Parrish and Matt Mortlander, and they are talking about a potential prospect that the Houston Rockets will draft at the number 10 spot. And that is a big question mark as of right now. We don't know what we're going to do yet. Are we going to trade that away to acquire a guy like Giannis, to acquire some other, trade prospect that is out there? That is a question. But if the Houston Rockets take this pick, so far they are projected to select Derik Queen from Maryland. And you're probably asking, who the heck is Derik Queen? This is him right here after a shot that just went in. And he is a very, very solid prospect in this draft. He is coming out of Maryland in the Big Ten Conference, averaging 15.7 points per game, 9.2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, in 30 minutes of production. That's out of 40, so he's playing well over 75%, or about 75% of those games all last season. I believe Maryland went all the way into the Sweet 16. Correct me if I'm wrong there. And so they made a little bit of a playoff run. I think they ran into, I forgot what team they ran into actually, but they were a solid team last year in the NCAA tournament. Again, you see 15 points in the Big Ten for a big guy. That just means that you're a tough son of a gun. And so we're going to talk more about his game. Again, he's a center. He's 6'10", 246 pounds. He's a freshman, or was a freshman, age 20. And so a quick little summary about Queen. He's a burly big with guard-like handles who douses with spin moves, crafty finishes like his game-winning leaning jumper to send Maryland to the Sweet 16. See, there it was. If he translates his velvet touch to the perimeter, he has offensive star upside, though his interior scoring, playmaking chops, and magnetic rebounding alone give him tantalizing potential. And the thing that I want to point out here, why I'm so high on this prospect, is you look at the comparisons right there. DeMarcus Cousins, Zach Randolph, and Naz Reid. Those are all tough son of a guns. Like, those are players you want to have on your team. And for a team like the Rockets that kind of embraces that physicality, embraces that defensive play and that toughness, this is kind of the perfect guy that you're kind of looking for in terms of a personality match. When you see names like DeMarcus Cousins, Zach Randolph, Naz Reid, all fantastic players, you can't help but get a little bit excited to have that guy come off the bench for you in Derik Queen. Speaks volumes. It really speaks volumes to his play and what he is capable of. And so we're going to go over what his strengths are. At rim finishing, he has supreme touch finishing from all angles. He's able to do a lot of crafty layups. It also mentions their ball handling, displays a low, tight handle, generating his own shot. He's like a guard when he's leading the break or slashing to the rim from the perimeter. He mixes in advanced handles and pace shifts. Plus, he loves using a little spin move going in either direction. And for a guy who is 246 pounds, that is very, very tough to stop. Of course, in the NBA, you have a bunch of bigger bodies, but still 246 pounds is 246 pounds. Post game, utilizes drop steps, up and unders, and pivot moves to create space inside. Can score over either shoulder with hooks, comfortable facing up slower bigs, and using a jab set or short jumper. Now, you probably are like, oh, now I understand the Zach Randolph comparison. Yes, that is the Zach Randolph comparison. He's got more playmaking abilities, shooting potential, possesses a natural touch on floaters, hook shots, and fades, all of which adds to the belief that he'll someday develop a three-pointer. That is one of his weaknesses in terms of not having the best shot, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Rebounding, Queen uses his wide frame, strong hands to carve out space on the glass, securing boards, defensive switchability. Flashes the ability to step out and defend on the perimeter. Moves his feet laterally better than he does, offering rim protection, which is something you're going to have to learn how to do in the NBA. So kudos to him. So if he gets in tip-top shape, which he's going to have to do, 246 pounds, as great as that is, in the NBA, you want to be leaner. You want to be able to handle the 82 games a year. It goes from 35 in college, I believe, to 82. So that is a huge jump. And so most players tone that down. Somewhat players way more than that, obviously. But when you're a rookie, you're going to want to lean out a little bit. And so if he gets in tip-top shape, this could end up the best defensive role for him. Now, we are going to now talk about why is he such a big risk? Why would it be such a big risk? And what is the talk around this prospect right now? Well, a new report came out about 2 days ago, and as all of you might know, the NBA Draft Combine has been occurring. Lots of players are getting their evaluations, and Derik Queen did not have the best day or days at the NBA Combine. And it says right here from this article, while Queen is widely viewed as a lottery pick, there's some reporting that his draft stock could be falling following the quote-unquote eye test. We've heard the eye test before. This week, on threes, Jamie Shaw indicated that he believes that to be the case. Now, let us go to more of what is in that article. He says, however, the NBA Draft Combine confirmed the eye test about Queen's athleticism. While it was already known that Queen was a less-than-average athlete, his testing numbers finished even worse than expected. Queen finished with a reported 12.45 lane agility drill, giving him the third lowest score in the previous 5 years of the NBA draft. His 28-inch reported maximum vertical would have finished tied with Peyton Sandfort as the second lowest total last year. The article went on. Draft Combine also showed that Queen has not been able to clean up the hitch in his jump shot from high school. He shot 20% from three this season, and he made only 45% of his 111 recorded shots here. Off dribble, spot up, three-point star, three-point side, and free throw. Decision making is an interesting stat with Queen, as well as he finished with 67 assists to 85 turnovers this season, with high usage dating back to high school. Over has last 2 seasons played 63 games. Queen has 125 assists to 137 turnovers. If you're a front office and you see a combine like this, you're gonna want to. There's a lot of red flags there, right? I'm not sugarcoating it anyway. As great as a player he is, he did not have the best combine. He did not have, the stats and the measurements to back up what he is capable on the court. He is, as it said, not the most athletic. He can do a lot of things, no question, but in terms of, what his vertical is, how fast he can move, there are some things that need to be addressed. And as great as a player he is, those are some real concerns, especially in the NBA. Because I don't know who that Sandfort guy is, but that's not really company you want to be in terms of draft combines. I'm sure Sandfort's a great player, but still not a conversation that you want to be in. And so there are these things that a GM and a front office can look at, and they look at the eye test, whatever the heck that means, and his draft stock slowly falls and falls and falls and falls. However, I am a firm believer, having watched him play in the NCAA tournament, having caught a few games in the Big Ten, he offers something that I think is very, very rare to find in a big man. I think he can use his physicality to his advantage as well. Of course, 246 is a little bit too much, and you're kind of worried about, is that three-point shot going to develop? As many of you know, bigs these days shoot a whole bunch of threes. And so if he's going to want to, have a more recurring role in that, I would hope that he can potentially build that jumper. But yes, that is something that he's going to have to fix because 20% or whatever it was, that is not going to cut it. But from a production standpoint, from what I've seen, from what these scouts have been saying, he can do so many things production-wise. And if you see the way he plays, if you look at some of his highlights, you can kind of see that toughness and that scrappiness and that kind of get after it mentality that he plays with. And I feel like that can easily translate into the Houston Rockets because, quite frankly, you can't teach that. Not all players have that. You can develop a player to have something like a jump shot and to have, to slim down and to do a lot of those things, but you cannot teach toughness. Anyone that's had a coach has said that at least a billion times, and that is what this kid has. And so I understand that the measurements don't add up, and there is risk involved in getting a guy who has this poor performance at the combine. But at the same time, for a team that needs a big to back up Alperen Şengün, because we do not know what's going to happen with Steven Adams. We are not sure yet. And so in this mock, it has us receiving a center to back up Şengün. And I think a young guy like this has a lot of potential to say, I don't feel like saying like, oh, because he had a bad combine, oh, you know what, let's pass on him. He has shown enough to be in that 10th spot. Because for all of this saying, he slid down to 10. Before this, he was, around 10, but upwards. And so he may not meet the eye test, but when you watch him play, that's to me is also an eye test. And that can lead to some serious great things for the Houston Rockets next season. So you let me know, do you think picking up Derik Queen at number 10 would be worth it? Do you think we should go for another position player? Let me know in the comments. Thank you again for all the support that we have had here on Rockets Digest. We're going to continue to do what we do here. So for that, we'll see you next time.